Greetings, fellow veterans, and welcome back. First of all, I want to apologize for the time I've been away. Life has happened. I've been traveling. I've been away, and today I want to introduce another veteran I want to interview. Matter of fact, I met this guy when I was traveling with at the International Leadership Conference in Dallas, and so I talked to him. He was ready to come on and share his story with us. Okay, so one thing I always tell you, as a retired career counselor, you have an opportunity to listen to wise counsel here. You can take the counsel and listen to the story that is going to be shared to you with you today, and then the things that apply to you that are applicable to your life, take them and use them. And the things that you think that you want to ask questions about, please put them in the comments. Ask us questions. We will definitely respond to your questions and answer those. And I always ask all veterans or anyone who's watching who know veterans, please like, comment, subscribe, and share the video to other veterans who may benefit from this counsel. So without further ado, today I want to introduce a fellow veteran, a retired Army guy, one of the best service in the business, Army. So if you feel differently, let us know. But I want to let him introduce stuff to you. So please, sir, introduce yourself to the audience.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Perry. Thank you, Clinton, for inviting me on to your podcast. Really appreciate it. Like I said, I'm Michael Perry, retired out of the Army after 32 years of service, spent 10 and a half years enlisted, 22 plus years as a commissioned officer.
Glad to hear that. Glad to hear. So got the best of both worlds. Best of both worlds. I remember, and I was sure. I remember in I was in one of my trainings. I think it was BNOC. We used to sing a cadence, and BNOC was at Fort Gordon, and they had a cadence where you had the SOBC class who was also there. The officer basic course was there. The new second lieutenants coming in, and
Yep.
we used to run by there. We used to say, second lieutenant, follow me because the NCO we were born to lead. You know what I'm saying? But you had the best of both worlds.
I did, and I had some fun.
Yeah.
I part of the reason why I actually went from being a non-commissioned officer to a commissioned officer was I got to a point where I realized, when it comes to making the important and the last decisions, the default was always back to the officer. And there are a couple of times where I saw officers make decisions about enlisted soldiers that I didn't agree with. And I was like, you know what? I got to figure out a way to get there to where I can actually add my advice to that senior person so they can understand, hey, when you're making a decision about an enlisted person, let's look at it from that lens of an enlisted person. Just don't look at it from what you need to do as an officer, because that's someone else's life.
Right. Well, I truly appreciate that, and I'm going to ask you a lot more questions about that. But let me take you back to before you joined the service. Who were you? What were you doing after you came out of high school and then made you to make a decision to join the military?
So I was sitting in the band room, and this guy showed up, a recruiter named Sergeant Escalera, and he asked me what my plans were, and I said to go to college. And then he asked me, well, how you plan on paying for it? I said, that's where you come in. I said, because my mom is a single parent. She's already working 2 jobs. And I do not want her to have to continue to do that just to put me through college. And that's how I ended up joining the Army.
I did. Well, like I said in the first part of the clip, you chose the best service. Even though sometimes we hate on our children, the Air Force. I always tell them the Air Force, September 18, 1947, we told the Army Air Corps, change your name and do something different. Aim high, smoke a little dope, whatever, what I'm saying. But we always hate on them because we love the fact that they're doing great things. But so when you enlisted, what was your first career path that you chose to come in after basic training?
I was a 7-6 Papa, material control and accounting specialist.
76
That,
Papa. Worked in the
yeah.
motor, right?
No, I actually worked in a warehouse.
Warehouse,
It,
okay.
they took the Papas, the Charlies, and the Victors and turned them into 92 Alphas.
Supply, okay, I got you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh no, wait, hold on. Supply was 92 Yankee, right?
That's unit supply.
That's right. Okay.
But
And
the
that,
supply with the warehouses was the Alphas.
got it. Okay, understood. You know what I'm saying? We're getting knowledge here. Okay. All right. So when you was on the enlisted side, as a 76 Papa, 92 Alpha, what was your favorite location that you served in?
Okay, so now here's where the story goes. I wouldn't say it goes awry, but it gets a little different. So
Okay.
I spent my first 3.5 years in Germany as a 7.6 Papa. I got off of active duty in 92 after Desert Storm. Then I came back well, I joined the National Guard for a year and a half while I was out. And I was a 7-1 Lima then.
Okay.
Then I decided to come back on active duty. I was going to community college there and I decided to come back on active duty. And when I got up to the MEPS, the guy looked at me and he said, the job you used to be in, what used to be 7.6 Papa is now 92 Alpha. But we don't have any openings for 92 Alpha. But we can make you a trombone player. And I said, well, I don't play the trombone. I play the saxophone.
Mhm.
He said, well, how about a food service specialist? I was like, nah, I don't think I'm going to do that either. Nope. I have nothing against the food service specialist, but I
Right.
don't like to cook. So then he said, well, hold on. Let me look at your records. I see you got like a year and a half worth of college. How about an aircraft power plant repair, which is an engine mechanic for the aircraft and Army. I said, that one I'll take. So I came back on active duty in 94. Spent some time I went to Fort Bliss as my first duty station after training. Left from Fort Bliss with 30 ACR. We moved up to Fort Carson. And then at Fort Carson, I went to recruiting.
Oh, recruiting. Yeah. How'd you like that?
So I'm gonna be honest with you. The pressure is hard, but the opportunity to show young men and women that the Army has something for them and how it can help them get a leg up in life is what makes it beautiful. Because this is what 97 to 2000. And there are a lot of kids that I talked to. I was in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and I was talking to them about the military and how the military can give them other options than the ones they have in front of them. So that part I love. I'm talking to parents, I'm talking to counselors and all of that. But that quota system, yeah, that was no fun.
No, I can understand that, especially in today's society. We have a lot of youth and even older people who enjoy the freedoms that the American military service members protect and defend, and but they don't want to have a hand and stand in the post, like Jack Nicholson said, guard the post, stand the wall, pick up a
That's
weapon.
right.
So I know that challenge nowadays for recruiters has to be astronomical when you have so many people who love the freedom but don't want
Mhm.
to have a hand in maintaining it at all.
And I think that's where we can help make a difference as people who have retired or people who actually just ETS'd out. If we tell our story, it makes a difference. I think what is happening is the kids that are coming up today, they're heroes. They see them on TV. They see them on YouTube. They see them on these different videos. But the person who's sitting out here, who's working a normal job, if they don't share their story with them, they don't know, hey, the Army or any branch of the military can be a way of life for them. And I always share my story of, I'm not asking you to come to the military to retire. What I'm asking you to do is to serve your country for a little bit and realize the benefits that you actually get at the end of your enlistment.
Yes, that's so true. I can tell you as a career counselor, I've sat across from a lot of soldiers who were thinking about ETSing, and some especially I was a brigade career counselor in the MI unit in San Antonio. And, MI, I mean, they had private contractors throwing money at them. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
$100,000, and especially the 97 series interrogator, they were throwing money at them, and so I had to sit across the table for them and basically preach duty on the country. What I'm saying, because I couldn't beat them on money. I could I would be duty out of country, what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So I can understand that, and everybody I talk to um in the civilian sector that I share my story with, a lot of people say, man, I wish I'd have joined, or even the ones who got out after 4 years say, man, I wish I'd have stayed because I'd have been retired now, because I've been retired since '07.
Mm-hmm.
I spent 21 years and retired those. So I've been retired. The Army is paying me every month almost as long as I served. What I'm
That's
saying? So
right.
I would give them that speech. Hey, you still gonna have a life afterwards. It's not like you're gonna be there. You come out, you're gonna be in a wheelchair. You're gonna have a life, and I mean that when I talk about for old age and decrepit. I'm talking about
Mm-hmm.
that you still have a life. So
Mm-hmm.
okay. So next thing I want to ask you, what was your favorite assignment, whether enlisted or as an officer? Even though I'm gonna go back to the question to ask you more about the transition to the officer rank, but what was your favorite assignment as an enlisted or as an officer?
I would say as an enlisted person, it was recruiting. Although it was hard, it still was one of my favorite assignments. Um, Now that's just recruiting itself. Now, when it comes to actual job wise, I think I love working on aircraft engines a whole lot more than I like working inside of a warehouse. You know,
Yes.
as an officer, my favorite duty location, Germany, by far. I mean, I did one tour as an enlisted person, two tours as an officer in Germany. I love Europe.
Yes. Yes. Matter
Yes.
of fact, K-Town, they call K-Town Little America because a lot
Yep.
of service members retired there. I was stationed in the Netherlands. I was in Amsterdam working in NATO.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I was in there. I was around the border. I was right above, right by Gottenkirchen, Germany, and right by Belgium. And I was right in the southern part of the Netherlands. And so I was
Hmm.
coaching the base basketball team. You know, it was NATO, so Air Force ran, so we had to call it base. It wasn't a post. You know, I was coaching the base basketball team. So we traveled to all the concerns in Germany playing, and we wound up down in Cape Town, Ramstein, Wiesbaden. You know,
Hmm.
just traveling and playing. So just enjoying that time. So that is a great area to be stationed in. You get to travel and see a lot of Europe. You know.
Now, I will have to say my best assignment, or one of the assignment that I had the most fun at when I was an officer, when I was the deputy G1 for 2ID in Korea.
Oh yeah, two ideal. You a warrior. You had the big fat.
Yes.
Yeah, I did 1994. And truth be told, I met some good friends in Korea in 93, 94. And just recently, like I say, I was traveling a lot. Me, my
Mhm.
wife, and their wife, we got a chance to go to Hawaii, which we had never been. So we went to Hawaii to help the Halikoa, to the military resort there. We
Mhm.
did a week there. And this September, our goal is to go to Korea, to go to Dragon Inn, to go to Seoul, to spend, take our wife there to see Korea.
Yeah, now you're gonna be surprised when you get there, because our
Check-
youngest son, he was in the army and he was stationed there when they brought everyone down from the Wujambu and all that area and put everybody on Camp Casey. So it's definitely gonna be different.
Well, I was at Camp Casey. That's where I was stationed at. I was stationed at
Excuse me,
Camp Casey.
not Camp Casey, I'm sorry. They put everyone, there's another base farther down.
Red Cloud?
Casey's still there.
Is it
No,
Red
Red Cloud is gone.
Cloud? Okay, Stanley?
No, Stanley is gone.
Uh,
There's an I can't even think. Yeah,
it's okay.
there's another base that 2ID headquarters moved to.
Oh, got it. So they moved him from north. They moved him from up
Hmm.
north. Oh man, I think up north was the best place to be because up
It,
north
it it was.
was the best shopping in the Ville. I mean,
Hmm.
I used to get suits made. Now this was 93, 94, but tailor-made suits for $70 a suit.
Look, now you want to hear something funny? You're talking about the suits being made. There's a guy in the Ville in Camp Casey named Top Man. He
Mm-hmm.
made the suits, right? Well, little did I know I got suits made by him, but his son actually managed to get his suits to where they're being sold at different stores, like Neiman Marcus and
Right.
everything. Yeah.
Imagine that. So the
Hmm.
suit is probably selling for $800,000 in Neiman
Mm,
Marcus. We were getting them made for, well, I don't know when you were there. What year were you there?
so I was in Korea from 2012 to 2013.
So you might have been paying about 150 a suit by that
Yeah.
time. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah. So like I said, I was telling people I was paying $7 a suit. I went down to Osan with the air base down there. We
Hmm.
did a retreat, and went off base, went to the Ville, talked to the suit makers down there. They were talking about $120, and this was way back in '94, right? I said, "Oh, they think the Air Force make more money than the Army." I said, "Oh, that's good."
Yep.
Okay. All right. Hey, moving on. Okay. I'm gonna jump you forward to well, you were sharing earlier that you decided to transition from the enlisted side of the house over to the officer side of the house because there were decisions being made that you want to input. My wife has a saying, you got to have a seat at the table. So you
Hmm.
want to have a seat at the table to share influence to help with decision. Tell us some more about that.
So I'll give you an example. So I was at Fort Hood, 9/11 happened. We had a soldier who came back from being AWOL. Now, he went AWOL way before 9/11 happened, but he came back when 9/11 happened because he felt guilty that he left the Army. So they brought him in and were like, hey, he's going to come to your platoon. Okay. This guy outran, outshot, outperformed any other soldier that I had in the platoon. I was like, now, wait a minute. Why did this guy go AWOL? Because he seemed to be a very good soldier. Long story short, at the time his wife got deported, and no one was supporting him in trying to get his wife back or prevent the deportation from happening. So he left with her and went to Mexico.
Mm.
So now he's back, and I have my battery commander saying, "Well, hey, you need to just let them, just slap the book at him." And I was like, I just don't believe in doing that. I said, shame on us for him having to do what he did and pretty much destroy his army career for his wife. We should have been there to support him. So when it came time to go before the battalion commander, here I am, a platoon leader, and the battery commander was like, "Well, I don't think you should go to bat for him." And I was like, "Well, I think I am." I said, because this kid has truly proven that, yes, he had one incident that caused him to do something that was wrong, but he came back and he outperformed a whole lot of people. That means a whole lot to me. So we went before the battery commander. He was like, the battalion commander, he said, "You know what? I heard what you said. I've seen what the kid is doing. So if he wants to stay in the Army, we're going to keep him in the Army."
There we go.
So he's already done his extra duty time. We're not going to take his rank or anything. And there were a lot of people that were surprised. I was like, I'm sorry. Everybody deserves a second chance, and some even a third chance, depending on what their situation was. So that is when that happened, that kind of made me realize, okay, I'm here for a reason.
Oh yeah. There's an old saying, and sometimes people use it negatively, but it's an old saying that says that the gifted get by. But what that means is that if you are gifted in what you do, like you were saying about the soldier, outran, outshot, basically outsoldiered a lot of who you had, he was somebody you wanted to stick up for. If he'd have came back, he'd have been a dud. You'd have been like, okay, I see why you left. Thank you for your service. We'll see you later. But he came
Hmm.
back and outperformed a lot of people in your platoon. So he was gifted in that, and you stood up, you went to bat for him. I like that. That's an awesome story to hear, because you're right. Everybody got a passion. Something happened to somebody, everybody's life. And I tell my son this. The fact is that there was thing that happened with me. I could share, not it don't matter, because I retired with SBI clearance. But there was time when I was a young kid going to Alaska, 18 years old, driving up to Texas. I got speeding tickets. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? That I did not pay. Back then, because back then, I'm just being honest. Back then, the system was not connected. Back,
Correct. Correct.
back then, they had truck drivers had license in every state. So I got
Hmm.
in Texas, $500 something. They were sent to my dad's house in New Orleans. I went to Alaska, got there, changed my license to Alaska driver's license. It never caught up. But they only
Hmm.
stayed 3 years on your record anyway. So I was say that's years ago. Can't come back now. So but I'm just saying that. But nowadays everything is so connected, you know what I'm saying? So now
Hmm.
if you have a pass, it can hurt your future. But if there's people who say, you know what, everybody got a pass. Somebody made a mistake somewhere. Let's give them a chance like you did. I like that. That's good. I think that I hope that soldier stayed and retired. I hope he stayed the whole and retired. Hey, did his wife ever get back to the States? Did
Yes, she ended up coming back.
Good, good. Okay, that's an awesome story. Okay, I don't want to get too excited, but that's an awesome story. When you say you spent 32 years active in some time reserve time, but when you retired from the service, do you think that you were properly prepared to walk out of the uniform into the civilian sector?
I was more prepared the second time when I retired versus when I ETS'd out in '92. When I got in the Army in '92 after Desert Storm, it was just first of all, there was no transition assistance program.
Right.
And then I got out in Germany. So all I did
Oh, you
was,
overseas getting out.
yeah, I was in Wiesbaden, Germany. I was supposed to go to Korea, ended up going to Desert Storm. And then when I came back from there, that's when I got out. But all I did was pack my stuff up and get on a plane and flew to Fort Jackson, out processed, and then I went home.
Mm.
That was it. You
How
know,
was how was that awakening coming from? Well, I know you're coming from war from Desert Storm, but the awakening from coming from being around people in uniform every day, knowing what your mission was, knowing what was expected of you as a soldier, coming back to an unstructured life for a minute. How was that?
initially it was a shock. I kind of got over it because I was 21. So the thing that really helped me was not only was I going to college, but I ended up getting 3 jobs because I was like, civilian life is boring, you know. So when I saw, this is what's crazy. There were guys that graduated before me that were still at the community college when I got out of the Army 4 years later.
Mm.
And I walk in there and I'm looking at them and I'm like, this is a 2 year college. What are you doing here? You
Yeah,
know,
doctorates.
yeah, I was like, it was shocking for me. But what I discovered was they went to college, but then they spent a lot of time hanging out in the social area, doing other things, you know. And I was like, guess what? This is my money. Although it's the GI Bill money, it's still my money because I'm paying the school. Back then, they sent the money to you and you paid the school. And I was like, I am not going to waste my money sitting inside of the common area playing cards. I
Right.
came here for one reason only, and that is to go to school. So with that, and at the same time, I ended up becoming a part of the Student Government Association. I started out as an ambassador, became the vice president, and I was about to become the president. And then I actually came back into the Army. You know, but I spent a lot of my time, I was focused. Unlike I unlike how I was when I was in Germany, where I got there at 18 and I was like any other 18-year-old.
Right.
I was just losing my mind. But then I realized, okay, I'm 2021. It's time for me to get myself together. You know, so while I was in college, I was clearly focused on what I needed to do in order to get out of it.
Yeah. The one thing that for any recruiter who watch this, I hope they share this with people you're trying to recruit. The Army will give you structure. It will
Hmm.
give you a discipline. It will give you something that you just don't get out of high school. It will give you that, and that structure will benefit you in the civilian sector the rest of your life. That's my opinion. Now.
No, you're absolutely right. Now, fast forward, um, I get out in 2021 and retire. Luckily, I did some things while I was on active duty that set me up for success to actually get out. So, number one, I spent the time in recruiting. So, you're talking about 3.5 years, I was hanging out with civilians, trying to convince them to join the Army. Number two, I ended up going out to Microsoft under the training with industry program. So, I was out there working as a civilian and then came back to the Army. And then I also had a couple of assignments where I had civilians around me. They were DA civilians, they were
Right.
still civilians. And that's a different world. So now when I got ready to exit my last assignment, I worked with a lot of DA civilians. So that kind of helped me with the transition. Now, it helps you get acclimated to the civilian world, but it doesn't help you get acclimated to the way corporate America runs, which is a little different.
It is. It is. Yeah. And let me backtrack on something. You said DA. For those who don't know, that means Department of the Army Civilian. So a lot of times we use acronyms
You're
so
right.
readily. You know what I'm saying? But you're right. And one thing I've shared before on this platform about concerning that is that I worked as enlisted soldier, went up and became a career counselor, while trying to keep soldiers in the service, not let them exit the service, get them duty assignments and training and bonuses. Then after I retired, I started working in HR. And so I worked as an HR recruiter for aviation for a while. And then I was HR director for 5.5 years with one location in the HR business part of the hospital. And so then I saw both sides, the sides of a career
Hmm.
counselor trying to overcome objectives of you trying to lead, and then at the side of the corporate side, trying to qualify you to come into the corporate sector, the corporate environment. And so this is why I think it's important that military members have a proper transition from being a soldier with a mission and a vision to fight and win the global environment, and then honing those skills that you've learned, whether it's in leadership, because the military sends you through all the leadership schools, whether it's
Hmm.
leadership, whether it's whatever job you're doing, honing those skills, those disciplines, and then changing your vocabulary to civilian speak. You know what I'm saying? Like, not like you're no longer a squad leader, you're a team leader. You know what I'm saying? You're
Hmm.
no longer a platoon sergeant, you're a section chief. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Hmm.
like, how do you change the title? And those are things I think that have to be done, taught right. Okay, so what advice would you give to service members who are thinking about either ETSing or those that are coming up on their retirement dates?
Have a plan and start working on your plan I would say at least 3 years out. You know, prepare for what you're going to have to do.
Mhm.
I wouldn't advise anyone to get out from overseas. Even though all the technology that we have today,
Mhm.
how you can actually see things and reach out and contact people, there's nothing like being on ground and being able to observe what's really going on, you know.
That is,
And the other thing I would say is get with Veterati, American Corporate Partners. These are organizations that match you up with people, not, maybe non-military, who are actually being mentors for transitioning service members. That is how I got my first job when I got out. I retired on 30 June, 15 July, I was working for Activision video game company. But that happened because I had a mentor who worked for Blizzard. And she's the one who kept, she would watch me as I do different interviews and talk to people and everything. And I had every interview that I conducted as I was transitioning, everyone made the same statement. Resume looks good, you interview well, but you just don't seem to be excited about our company. And I was like, in my mind, I was saying, how can I be excited about your company who I just met? And I've just spent 30 plus years in the Army,
wow.
serving a country that, I felt like what I was doing was more important than anything else. I said, so,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's not like that. And what she said was, I get it, but it sounds like to me, you want to be in corporate America, but you want to do something that you love inside of corporate America. I said, you're right. She said, so what do you love to do? I said, I love helping veterans. And she said, sounds good. Guess what? We're about to start building out our veteran hiring initiatives. How about you come over and help us do that? And that's what I did.
That's awesome right there. So you got an opportunity to utilize all your skills to now help other veterans become successful. That's awesome. That's something that's one of the reasons for this blog is because
Hmm.
I put some out in the ethosphere for veterans to see and to know that first of all they're not alone. That the transition, even though like I said, it's a process where you have to go through the grieving stages because you no longer longer in uniform. Your rank no longer matters. You look up, you don't see rank anymore. Now everybody is suit and tie or polo shirt, whatever you wear to work. And
Hmm.
even though leadership is disinfluenced, so you can still be a leader no matter where you're at. You have to adjust to that lifestyle, and a lot of folks struggle with that. It used to be a saying before I retired, and this is old Army. They said that a lot of sergeant majors would retire, and within 5 years they'd be dead because their whole persona, their whole life was wrapped up in who they were as a soldier, and
Hmm.
the transition from who you were as a soldier, which means that part of your life, you're gonna always be a retired lieutenant colonel, but that part of your life is no longer there. And it's how
Hmm.
do you make the transition down to okay, now when I walk into Walmart or a Target or wherever, people they just see another gentleman, whatever
Hmm.
walk into an organization. So how do I utilize my knowledge, skills, and ability to still influence others to be the best they can be?
Well, one thing I would say that you never can get off of you. There's a certain discipline about being a military service member that people recognize. There's just something about it. Now, I would say one of them happens to be you showing up to work on time. So,
Yeah.
or before, you know, you're supposed to be there. Because as we used to say in the army, if you're on time, you're late. So,
Yeah.
mhm,
It is something. You're right. I can tell you, since I've been retired, a lot of the people I hang around with, even the civilian side now, most of them are retired military. Most of them Air Force. I'm here in Wichita. They retired
mhm,
Air Force because Air Force base here. Or I got a couple of Navy guys who spent time in the Navy. They didn't retire, but it's somehow we gravitate to
mhm.
one another. It's because we understand each other's experiences that sometimes other people don't understand, and that's not a negative. It's just
It's
reality
just
of life,
reality.
right?
Hmm.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Did you go through through the VA process. Like when I say the VA process, getting a rating coming out for 30 years of running,
Yes.
lifting, pushing, all of that stuff. Did you go
Yeah.
to that? And how?
Yes. So I would say on that piece, start early, meaning get your records documented, know what's in your records. And when it's time for you to get out, when you're a year out, that's when you need to hone in on all those things that you felt like, oh, I don't need to go to sick call for this, but you do need to go. Because what we're discovering is so many of us have ailments that come back to haunt us in the future, but
Yes.
we can't see that now. And then when we show up at the VA talking about this happened to me while I was on active duty, let's be honest, the VA is just like any other organization. Well, where's the proof? We don't
True.
have the proof because we didn't want to take the time to do what we need to do. And I took my time and I actually ended up going through an MEB while I was on active duty. So when I went through that MEB and I thought they were going to tell me I had to retire, that's when I really took it serious and said, you know what, I need to maintain my medical records and make sure no matter what I do, if something happens, I go to sick call, I go and get all the tests I need to get. When you come back from redeployment and you go back through that process, you need to talk about those things.
Got it.
Yeah.
So let me backtrack again. MEB, medical
Sorry.
evaluation board.
Yep.
So civilians who see this gotta know.
Yes, yes,
Understand.
yes.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because you're right. You have to get a document because coming up, as a national mission officer, running PT, we used to sing cadences, AWOL, sick call, can't run,
Mhm,
like can't, what I'm saying, can't run,
mhm,
can't fight, and so we instilled a mentality that going to sick call was a weakness,
mhm,
but that was instilled in us, which was crazy because that's the thing that as you retire, the going to get the thing documented is what helps you
mhm.
for it to say, okay, yeah, this is service connected.
Correct.
So yes, I like that. So start early, a year out, start make sure so that's good. Okay. So any other challenges did you face as you exited the service that you would like to share, and how did you overcome those challenges?
I would say just realizing that, think about it when you first joined the Army or any branch. What did you go through when you first joined? This exact same thing you're about to go through when you get out. It doesn't matter how long you spend inside of the military. The moment you exit the military, you're entering a whole new world, or as I like to say, it's a whole new planet because you've been away from it for so long. We like to assume that we can get out and go back to what was there. Well, when I got out in 92, what was there in 88 was not there in 92. It still was totally different for me. Luckily, it was about five of us that got out around. We went in around the same time, graduated from the same high school. All of us got out around the same time. So guess what happened? In that small little town, we all hung out together. We knew
Yeah.
each other before we joined the military. We knew each other when we got out. And we used that to move through the process. And that's one thing I tell people, don't get out and think you're out here by yourself. Find other veterans, talk to them because we all go through the same thing. Some on a better, um, I would say, better path than others because it really depends on what you get out with. And if you're having issues when you get out, they don't get any better when you actually get out of the military because then you're missing that whole tribe that you normally depend on.
Right. That's so true. That's so true. You're right. That it's the thing about when I retired, I didn't really miss the army per se. I was ready to go. You're ready to go. And this is what
Mhm,
I said is when little things start to aggravate you a little bit. Little things, stuff that hurry up and wait. Everything you did throughout your career, when they start to aggravate you just a little bit, okay, it's about time. And I had reached retirement. It's time to go. Okay, but you're right. The thing I missed was the camaraderie. Like I said,
mhm,
it wasn't just being in the military. It wasn't just the formation. It wasn't running PT. It was the camaraderie. That's the first thing you miss. And in civilian life, every civilian they got their own thing going on, and
mhm.
try to integrate yourself into a community that's not military it was difficult. You know, I don't
Yeah.
know if that was strange for you or not.
And yes, and if you can help it, I know everyone's situation is different. but get out somewhere where you have a military community there. You know, whether it's a military base, a National Guard unit, somewhere where some people are there, you have something in common with.
Got it. Understood. Hey, well, retired Lieutenant Colonel Perry, I truly appreciate your time. I know it's a sacrifice to sacrifice time out of a busy day to spend time to share your experiences with our listening audience. And so I want to thank you for doing that. And I'll give you any final words that you might want to say before we close out this vlog.
Thank you so much, Clinton. It was I will tell you honestly, obviously God wanted us to meet each other for a reason because that was a one-off meeting each other at ILS. So
Yeah,
I appreciate this opportunity to get a chance to talk to you and to talk to those who are out there who are watching this. Just remember a a dream delayed is not a dream deferred because you're going to get out and whatever it is you want to do, it may not go the way you want it to go, but that does not mean it's not meant for you.
yeah, that is so true. That is so true. Well, thank you so much once again. And for all listening audience, I'm gonna share my screen here. This is a way that you can contact us here at the Veterans Focus on Veterans Transition. And if there's anything we can do to help, please let us know. Like I said, please comment, subscribe, and share the video. Commenting and subscribing costs you nothing, but it might mean a world of difference to a veteran who may need to hear and see this content. So we truly appreciate you. We appreciate your time. And hey, Godspeed. Thank you so much, sir.
Hey, you're welcome, man.
Okay.
You are welcome.
I truly
So
appreciate it. Yeah. Let me go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording here.